With a pun absolutely intended, Jerry Kill killed it his first season as head coach of the New Mexico State Aggies. This was a pretty solid team last season, and entering 2023, expectations is that this team goes bowling yet again this season, and now they are no longer an FBS independent. New Mexico State is a proud member of Conference USA. Could that lead to their downfall, though, in 2023? Can Jerry Kill improve this program and make a bowl game for the second straight season? Or are the New Mexico State Aggies, after joining a conference, going to fall and are going to need to recalibrate heading into 2024? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nathan. Welcome to my channel, previewing, predicting, analyzing all 133 FBS level college football teams this summer. Guys, it means I'm doing your favorite team, and I'm so close. Predictions are so close to being done. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, so you know my thoughts during the season as well. But there are more ways than that for you guys to help me support my channel. Hey, you're doing one right now by watching the video. You guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else that you guys are willing and able to do to help me support my channel. Again, whatever you guys are able to do, I appreciate in its entirety. Thanks for the support on the channel this summer. Let's talk about Aggie football in 2023. But first, we got to know how we do things around here. We do go through a roster overview and look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Aggie football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So, without further ado, let's talk about New Mexico State in 2023. Let's take a look at, of course, the most important position on the field first, the quarterback room. You do have a couple returning pieces to the quarterback room this year. Leading passer from last season, Diego Pavia. I believe I said that last name right, but if not, I apologize sincerely. He had 1,450 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions on 53% completion percentage. I believe he will be that starter entering 2023. If not him, it could be Gavin Fracas as well. 736 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions last season. Definitely did not have a phenomenal outing throughout the entirety of 2022. So Pavia may very well be that guy that's ready to go, but you do get a very high-profile transfer coming in here in Eli Stowers. He's a transfer that comes over from Texas A&M and was a former 4-star quarterback coming out of high school. So who knows? It could be the Eli Stowers show for the Aggies this season. If not, it should be Pavia, and if not him, Fracas. But I think it's between Pavia and Stowers for who gets that starting quarterback job. Right now, ourlads.com likes Pavia a little bit more. We'll see who ends up winning that starting job for the Aggies this season. Your running back room remains intact from last season. Star Thomas, 108 carries, 525 yards, and 5 touchdowns from last season. Pavia was also the team's second leading rusher at 508 yards and 6 touchdowns. Jamani Jones, another running back, 383 yards and 6 touchdowns for him last season. And then Amonte Watkins, 248 yards and 4 touchdowns for him last season. There are some more names in the running back room that return for this team as well. Let's take a look at the wide receiver room now, as Justice Powers is going to be gone. That was your leading receiver last year, 440 yards and a touchdown from last season. Throughout times, this was a passing attack that really struggled to get it going. Only 159 completions for this passing unit last season, only threw 305 passes. Definitely ran the ball a lot more often than they threw the ball, but there is a lot coming back in this wide receiver room if they wanted to open up to the pass, especially if a guy like Eli Stowers is going to end up being your starting quarterback. Cordell Davis, Jonathan Brady, Cordell David, my apologies, not Davis, Cordell David, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns for him. Brady at 310 yards and 3 touchdowns. Some other guys like Bryce Childress, Chris Bellamy come back, and then Reggie Ackles is going to be a transfer into this program as well to help give a little boost to this wide receiver room. So maybe they can get more involved with the pass this season, can the New Mexico State Aggies. You do have a couple guys in the tight end room that leave, but none of them I really felt notable to put on the list. You do have Thomas Whitford coming back to this team, only 12 catches for 82 yards, but did have a couple touchdowns last year. And then Tyler DeVera is a transfer coming over from Stony Brook, former 3-star out of high school. Should be a solid player for the Aggies here in 2023. And then when you take a look at the offensive line, Gabriel Preciado, Carson Ferris, and Doro O'Mary are going to be gone. However, Cannon Yarrow, Isaiah Merslat come back, and then Jacob Golden is a transfer that enters this program He's coming over from Boise State, so should give a very nice lift to the offensive line there. I do believe he will be a starter on the offensive line for the Aggies this season. All right, so there's the offense. You got your mix of, some key pieces are gone, such as Justin Powers and a couple on the offensive line. But for the most part, should be a solid offensive unit for the Aggies in 2023. But now we got to take a look at the defense. And there are some very key pieces leaving this defense as we start with the defensive line. Lazarus Williams had 7.5 sacks last year. That led the team. 42 tackles, was the top 10 tackler. You're going to be losing him, as well as Donovan King. So those are your top 2 tacklers from the defensive line from last year. Both of them are gone. However, you do get your fair amount of production coming back. Isaiah Reed, Sterling Webb, Tyrese Thomas, all of those guys will be returning. And then Dion Wilson is a transfer that's going to be coming into the defensive line. He comes over from the Arizona Wildcats. It's a Power 5 program out of the Pac-12. So, hey, you do get a Power 5 guy there on the defensive line. There are some other transfers that I just did not mention that are going to be coming in for this program as well. When you take a look at the linebacking unit, kind of similar story. You do lose a lot of key components, especially your second sack leader from last season, I guess second most on the team in sacks last year, and Chris Ojo, 108 tackles, so he was also your leading tackler, broke triple digits, 5 sacks last season. Trevor Brohard was your second leading tackler. He's also gone. And then Nick Giacalone will be leaving this program as well. Who does return, though? That's going to be the likes of Keyshawn Elliott, 27 tackles for him last season. Gabe Peterson is also a guy that's coming back. And then Javion Gibson, among some other names, are returning to the linebacking unit for this Aggie program. Now in the defensive back room, again, similar story. You have a lot of key pieces leaving the defensive back room. Cyrus Dumas is one of those. 3 pass defended, 2 interceptions. 4th leading tackler last year. Bryce Jackson is going to be another one of those guys, 66 tackles, 3rd leading tackler, 3 pass defended, 2 interceptions last season. Malachi McLean and Linwood Crump, some other names that will leave, but you do get a lot of nice talent coming back. Andre Seldon, Dylan Early, Delvin Kirkland, Makai Miller, doesn't stop there, Torin Union, BJ Skolark, and JJ Derville. All of these guys had really, really solid playing time for this team last season. Overall, this is the defense that is going to have to take a step up. Again, you lost a lot of production in the pass rush ability with some guys that are leaving that produced a lot of sacks last year. I think the offense is going to perform fairly well, but it's up to the defense to fill in those gaps and improve to really get this team moving in the right direction. Your head coach, as mentioned before, is Jerry Kill. Offensive coordinator Tim Beck, not to be confused with the new Coastal Carolina head coach. And your defensive coordinator is Nate Dreeling, as now we take a look at the Aggie football schedule for 2023. Hey, any game at home is going to be underlined. Well, any game on the road will be in italics or the slanted text. Any game you see in green is a game I think the Aggies are going to win fairly easily. Any game in yellow is a game that, okay, 50-50 back and forth, maybe an upset bid game, but the Aggies are going to be able to win. And then red is a loss. You come in here, start out. They are one of the few teams to play in week 0 and only, and my apologies, one of only 2 teams besides, again, another game on their schedule in the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors that play 13 games this year. So we're going to go through games a little faster than I usually would. So here we go. Week 0 against UMass. Do not underestimate the UMass Minutemen this year. I do think this is a winnable game for UMass here against the New Mexico State Aggies, but I think New Mexico State's returned a little bit too much on offense. UMass does have a lot of 3-star and even some former 4-stars out of high school transferring into that team. But I think it's going to take maybe another year for Don Brown to really start getting that program moving. They could see some slight jumps this year, but maybe 2024 is where UMass starts to make some moves. That will be a win for the New Mexico State Aggies there. You get a week 1 game now against Western Illinois, and you should be able to win that one fairly easily as well. Don't see you guys having much trouble with that one there. All right. Then you start out conference play. Your first game in the Conference USA, your first game with the Conference USA patch sitting right here is a week 2 game on the road against the Liberty Flames. Unfortunately for New Mexico State, I just don't think they quite have the talent to be able to match up with this one here. New Mexico State, especially with all that they have to replace on defense early on in the season, I think are going to end up dropping this game. Liberty and Jamie Chadwell have 2 very, very impressive options at the quarterback position. Either of them would be a great fit there with the Liberty program. I feel you have, even though a lot of transfers leaving, some really good transfers coming in, a lot of good talent that's already going to be staying with this Liberty program. I think they're going to be one of the better teams in Conference USA this year. They definitely have one of, if not the best coach the conference has to offer. That'll be a loss for New Mexico State on the road against Liberty. I also think you're going to drop this game on the road against New Mexico as well. New Mexico is a team that is improving. It's getting some really high-profile transfers in. Yes, guys like Jordan Porter and some other very talented players leave that team through the portal, but there is a ton of talent coming in. I think New Mexico is going to start really climbing back up the ladder of the Mountain West, and they're going to win. I think, at least 2 or 3 games this year, and I think this one is going to surprise some people, but I do have New Mexico beating New Mexico State in week 3. However, New Mexico State is going to go on the road and beat one of their 2 Mountain West opponents on the schedule. They will go on the road and they will beat the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. I know that starting quarterback is coming back in Shager, but I just do not have a lot of confidence in Hawaii this season. They're just not a team that I'm really liking as a whole as we enter 2023. So for me, that's going to be a win for the New Mexico State Aggies. Then you get your bye week, you get the comeback home, and I think you get a fairly easy win here against Florida International. The Panthers are a team that I'm just not really buying, just a team that I don't really like coming out of Conference USA this year. There's a ton of talent leaving through the transfer portal, so I do have that as a win for New Mexico State. I also think Sam Houston is going to be a win for this team. Now, Sam Houston did win an FCS national title in 2020, so you got to watch out, and there are a lot of solid pieces on that team, especially defensively. I think there are a lot of nice pieces, but on offense, you're going to have some question marks to fill, and I think by this point, that New Mexico State defense has found what works, has found what moves. Sam Houston may need some time to adjust to the FBS level again. That's what we said about James Madison too, but Sam Houston here, they're going to be competitive, but I do have them losing this game to New Mexico State. Now, on the road against UTEP, this is going to be, I think, a very hard game for New Mexico State to be able to win. I do have you guys losing to the UTEP Miners. Gavin Hardison has a lot coming back in the wide receiver room. Even his top target after a possible transfer over to Texas A&M. But you do have him coming back to the program. Gavin Hardison is a veteran quarterback, and while the UTEP defense does have a lot to be desired and a lot of holes to fill, I think that offense will be good enough to get through this Aggie defense. The UTEP defense will keep New Mexico State off the board. That'll be a win for UTEP, which means it's a loss for New Mexico State. I also believe you will lose this game against Louisiana Tech. Too much talent offensively for that team, especially with Hank Bachmeier coming in at quarterback. There's a lot coming back on the offensive side for the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. So that is going to be a win there for Louisiana Tech, which means that's your second straight loss for New Mexico State. However, you do get a lengthy break, not a bye week break, but you do get a lengthy break before you get a home game against Middle Tennessee. And I think this is a game that may shock some Blue Raider fans because I do have New Mexico State winning this game. I think with all that New Mexico State has coming back offensively, including some transfers, again, as I mentioned, that come in, especially if this offense really starts to click and this defense learns from their past couple games, files in some holes, and fills the necessary gaps and needs. This is going to be a win for New Mexico State. Middle Tennessee lost a lot of good production defensively that they're going to need. Or excuse me, they have a lot of they lost a lot of production offensively that they're going to need to be able to replace. A lot of guys wide receiver, Chase Cunningham, the quarterback, is gone. Now, defensively, that's going to be another sound, solid team this year, but I am calling a New Mexico State win there in this one. Your next 2 games, I do not think you're going to be able to win. Western Kentucky, for the sole reason that New Mexico State does have some good pieces on defense, but again, they did lose a lot of top-tier production. And Western Kentucky's offense is going to be too dynamic this year with Austin Reed at quarterback. You're not going to go on the road and beat Auburn. That's a program out of the SEC. They're going to be a fairly competitive and good one at that, with Hugh Freeze coming in as head coach. And then your last game of the year is a home game against Jacksonville State that I think you lose as well. That is going to be a very competitive, very hard-nosed, very gritty football team this season, coming out of the FCS ranks to join the FBS. They were 9-2 last year. They were very, very good. And I think they'll be competitive in Conference USA and win that game there. So all in all, I got 6-7 for the New Mexico State Aggies. I could see an 8-win season for this team. Again, there are a lot of manageable, winnable games, but there is a lot on this team that has to get better. Defensively, you're going to have some guys step up and play better. Offensively, you're going to have to find more of a rhythm there as well. But still bowl bound for the Aggies. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see you guys in the next video.